All right. Good morning, Amber. If you don't mind, before we get rolling, just sharing your position with me.
Yeah, I'm the branch manager for Atlanta South.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, talk to me a little bit about that Atlanta South market.
I would say it's probably the third best market in the country, soon to be number one.
Yes. And how long have you been working with Safe Haven, Amber?
A very short 8 years, it seems.
Yeah,
Feels like
right.
it's gone by so fast.
Yeah, there's no short 8 years in the alarm world. So you're one of the veterans around here. So, Amber, talk to me a little bit about what you did prior to Safe Haven and what your experience was like early on coming in and the quick trajectory you had into management.
Yeah, so this is probably one of my favorite stories. I slung juice and smoothies at a juice bar here. I was managing a store, so management was kind of something I was already familiar with. But sales was absolutely not something I was familiar with, unless you count like a juice cleanse, which I would argue is pretty difficult to sell. But yeah, so from a turn of a world of events, I just applied here kind of out of desperation. I had busted my butt for $13 an hour. And, I had already kind of achieved the job that I was already at before. And I get bored quick.
Yeah, yep.
And so I applied here. I got the job. And, I didn't succeed very quickly or easily like some of my reps have. It was a bit of a struggle initially, but I was committed to making it work, mostly because of my ego.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to go back to $13 an hour. And out of just need and desperation, I was like, I have to make this work.
Yeah.
I committed to being successful here, and in a very short time, I was. So
Absolutely, you were. Very much so. Just for the viewer to give y'all a little bit perspective. So Amber came in as a sales rep, if I believe at the time, under our old manager, Spider Monkey, I believe was what he went by. Advanced into the MAP program, and obviously for the past 6 or 7 years have ran the Atlanta South branch at a very high level. And to your point, the third best branch in the country year to date. So
yeah.
fantastic. Yes, I do see you gunning for the number one spot. So I got to ask you, you came from selling juices and a juice cleanse to doing home protection. Talk to me a little bit about that adjustment and who you're working with out there in the field.
Yeah, I thought about this because it's so crazy being in this industry for so long. Like initially your focus is so much on selling alarms and, not even that, but getting to know the people you meet out in the field. But it almost seems like hard to even view this job as something like that when you've been in management for so long, because the job shifts so much from slinging alarms to, slinging reps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
And
it's
yeah.
to see that.
No, you do an incredible job with your reps. Obviously, you have some of our top producers in the entire country among about 1,000 employees that are hitting at a very high level. Talk to me a little bit about that. Obviously, going through the years of COVID, we had a huge uptick in production. Things have, adjusted slightly. So talk to me a little bit about the challenges that you're seeing this year and what you're doing to overcome some of those challenges.
It's funny because I've heard many people say that, things are different and there's a bit of a correction or whatever. And my experience, I don't see that. We treat every single day in the field like we always have, whether it's COVID, whether more people are home or not. I mean, it's still the same. It's still easy. We still offer something that a lot of people can't offer. We still, talk to people all the time. We might have a couple more renters that we come across, but
Sure.
for the most part, I don't think it's been more challenging personally.
Yeah, well, the proof's in the pudding and the production's there to back it. So you've proven that it's no more challenging now than it ever was. And I think a lot of folks that may have come in through the years around 2021, 2022 had a bit of an easier time transitioning into this position, whereas now it seems to be a struggle. But again, you have 8 years under your belt. I've got 17, and the alarm industry is very much what it's always been. So I appreciate you sharing that. So With the success that you guys see in Atlanta consistently and producing high level production, and I know you've got Leah Johnson, who's actually flying into Kansas City next week. Talk to me a little bit past the financial end. So you started here because you wanted to make more money. What keeps you here? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you pushing to actually getting to 10 years on staff with Safe Haven?
Yeah, well, kind of like what I said a little bit earlier, like I get bored quick. One thing that's really fun about this is that like you can never fully achieve this position. There's always something you can do to be better, to do more, to, fine tune your process. Like you can't really ever fully achieve the job. So I also like a little bit of the clout. So I love when my people, are doing amazing and they promote out. And, I've got a couple people that have promoted out of my office in management or, corporate trainer. And I love to see that because they get a little taste of what we get to see up here which is basically other people's success and kind of being a key player in their success. And that's really the best part about the job.
Absolutely. So not so much, and obviously we love the financial end and we're paid very well, but goes beyond that. The ability to help develop and really help see your reps achieve the things that they want to achieve in their personal lives is what drives you and motivates you at this point.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than getting to see, especially as being someone who got to experience it firsthand, but to see other people get to experience and create an entire life that they never even knew possible. It's inspiring.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I had the pleasure of working with you years ago, and I've seen your trajectory and your success at the company. I've seen the success of a lot of the people that you've hired, trained, and developed. I'm curious about, do you have any stories which you saw it positively impact a customer rather than yourself or just one of the representatives that works for you?
We talk about stories all the time. Stories sell, we talk about that a lot. There are several stories I tell in my training every single week, the very same stories. And, I was trying to come up with one that I could think about or talk about today. And there are so many, but I would say probably one of the most serious ones that we have had that has been really awesome to be able to kind of provide a sense of, peace of mind, is a home invasion. A woman was home by herself. She experienced a home invasion while she was home by herself. And they knocked on the door. They knocked on her door. She twisted the knob. They forced themselves in her home. And so it was really cool to kind of be the person that can provide that safety net for her so that she never had to twist the knob without knowing who's on the other side of the door ever again. The doorbell camera. So that was kind of cool. One of the major stories that stands out for me. Providing that, sense of safety when someone does knock on your door,
Absolutely. I think a lot of the time, us as salespeople, we look at it as we have to go out and earn a commission or make a sale. And, as we get past the financial end, as we're talking about, it goes a lot further beyond that, right? And actually protecting people that have made the biggest investment of their lives, their homes. And that story that you just shared, I can't imagine the feeling of twisting a doorknob and opening it to a stranger. So knowing forward moving, she has peace of mind in the event that that ever were to happen again. You guys have provided protection and solidified her peace of mind, which is absolutely fantastic. So I know we have a lot of positive customer impact stories. Now, again, I've mentioned the success you've seen with your reps. I'm curious if you've seen any rep in particular that may have come in from a tougher position in life or just not necessarily where they wanted to be. And I wanted to hear a little bit about the trajectory of that individual and the successes they've seen here at Safe Haven.
Yeah, so I will talk about one of my guys, Demetrix McCulley. He regularly hits between 12 to 20. So he actually has a warehouse background and, has never worked in sales before. And it is so cool to see someone who has literally worked his entire life in the warehouse want more for himself. And then, he did have a little bit of a slow progression. And it was cool, too, to see, his mindset change from trying to give up on trying something new, learning something new, to just not accepting failure. So even when he had a quick little early success and then had that little sophomore slump we talk about, I remember him telling a story in a meeting. He was like, I actually thought I turned around and then went towards a warehouse that I, had worked in before, and then thought, what am I doing? And then he was like, from that point on, I gave up that life officially. And, he used a lot of the online training resources. He just listens to it all the time, constantly in his car. Anytime he gets in his head, he's like learned how to train his brain differently. So it's just really cool to see that kind of, success, from someone who's never had an experience, who's always worked the same kind of job his whole life, kind of make a new way,
So did you notice that it was the mental commitment or the mental shift for him of going, I'm done with that type of lifestyle and I'm focused over here, that helped with his trajectory and his continual success that he's seeing?
Absolutely. I mean, we have the saying here, the hardest territory to balance is the one between your ears. And I think that's absolutely true in all sales, but specifically this industry.
Very much so. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Amber, I'm curious, 8 years in, what's the next 8 years entail for you? What's the next 8 years of Atlanta South Branch and Amber Bar look like?
Oh, gosh. So much has happened in 8 years. I would love to promote more managers out. I think that makes me look good. It's good for them. I think it only is going to benefit everyone. I'd like to see a couple more people promote out of my office. I'd like to see, obviously I want to get that number one spot, Yes. So I would love to hit that at some point. I don't know, keep it. That would be amazing.
Yep.
It seems like the longer you just stay on staff, the higher you're going to climb. So that's kind of my two biggest things that I would like to see.
Absolutely. I think we'd all agree with you, and I think we'd all like to see Atlanta South Branch tank it down Mr. Nate Brown as the number one spot in the country in these years to come. So, well, Amber, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out today. I love hearing about your background, what got that shift over to Safe Haven, and some of those success stories between you, your reps, your customers. So appreciate you spending a little time on this call with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amber.